Ukraine's Zelenskyy says only a U.S. green light on a NATO invitation will sway a reluctant Germany. KYIV, Ukraine AP. Ukraine's president is hoping allies will take a more positive stance on his so-called victory plan after the U.S. election, but concedes that its key demand, an invitation to join NATO, is not welcomed by some major Western partners, in particular Germany. Volodymyr Zelenskyy said Russia was also likely looking at the post-election scenario in the U.S. to assess the possibility of ceasefire talks with Ukraine. He assessed that if partial ceasefire deals could be reached over attacks on energy infrastructure and Black Sea shipping routes, it would signal the end of the hot phase of the war. Zelenskyy spoke to journalists on Monday and his comments were embargoed until Tuesday. He said the U.S. is analyzing his plan, but he doesn't expect a meaningful response until after the November 5th election. They said, yes, we've started working on the victory plan, they want to analyze everything, and so on. But it's very clear to me that all the major partners, especially during the election period, will be afraid of Russia's reaction, he said. Because they understand that with this package, we can destroy them. On NATO, Zelenskyy said France, Britain and Italy have shown signs of support. Germany has reservations, however, and Zelenskyy believes only a U.S. green light will convince Berlin to accept the idea. Russia-Ukraine war. Zelenskyy set to unveil victory plan in Kyiv. Russia-Ukraine war. Zelenskyy set to unveil victory plan in Kyiv. A glance at Ukraine's plan aimed at nudging Russia into talks to end the war. A glance at Ukraine's plan aimed at nudging Russia into talks to end the war. But the fact is that the German side is skeptical about our NATO membership, that's a fact. I believe their stance is softer than it was before, this is also a fact. But when it comes to the invitation I'm talking about now, they are afraid of Russia's reaction, he said. I believe that their position will be influenced by a bigger alliance. A bigger alliance in supporting us, a confident, yes, from the United States. Many significant issues will hinge on decisions taken following the fraud election period, the president said. After the elections, we hope for a more positive reaction from the U.S., not because of a change in the president, but because the focus of the United States is now on the elections, and I believe that any sharp statements from the U.S. today might be inappropriate or carry risks. I think they don't want unnecessary risks, he said. Asked if he faced pressure from allies to end the war, Zelenskyy joked, saying, over the years, people's overall blood pressure rises. He dismissed reports of a possible ceasefire scenario in which Ukraine exchanged occupied territories for NATO membership. We are not discussing this. But I think that these media leaks are not accidental. Perhaps some partners may have such thoughts. They don't communicate this directly with me, but through the media, it's clear they're testing its reception. He said the end of the hot phase of the war would commence if a deal could be reached with Russia to halt attacks on energy infrastructure and Black Sea ports and shipping routes. In this case, attacks on military targets would continue as well as frontline fighting, he said. He said he plans to convince countries of the global south to embrace Ukraine's plan as another way to push Moscow to agree to Kyiv's terms. Zelenskyy said his country is not pursuing nuclear weapons to deter Russian President Vladimir Putin. We are not asking to be given or returned nuclear weapons, he said. My position is very clear. We gave them up, but we got nothing in Ray.